Well, what's up? Good morning, you motherfuckers. It's another glorious day, and as usual, I always start my videos off by doing this and coughing. I have no clue why I'm doing it. Maybe I'm doing it because I'm nervous, or maybe the fact is I'm sitting in a basement by myself talking to my phone, getting ready to upload this video, or whatever not. So, today's topic, excuse me, is I'm going to use clickbait for the title. So when I upload this and you guys read the title, you guys already know what I'm going to talk about. And what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about the time that I accumulated $150,000 in hospital debt. Yep, as usual, it seems like every story I keep telling seems like it's negative, but this is definitely not a negative story. Well, I mean, kind of negative because I'm going to go in debt. So that means it's negative, correct? And I got hurt on my bike and got injured. So that's negative too. But either way, I learned a lesson. And the lesson I learned is get better at BMX. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about is one of the injuries that I ended up having. I believe it was almost 13 years ago. I was 24 years old, and I was going to do a topic on like my top 5 injuries I've had in my life, and I was trying to go through and do the whole thinking of like, okay, when I was 11 years old, I remember stacking tires and wrecking, jumping that, and then eating shit into the alleyway and getting a 3rd-degree burn on my arm, and it went all the way to the bone, and I almost had to get a skin graft. I was going to talk about that, and then I was going to talk about the plenty of times that I've broken my leg and broken ankles and broken my shoulder and I've already told you guys about first time doing a handrail and breaking my collarbone. So you guys already know that story. But I was trying to think, I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about one that changed my life. And so this injury I'm talking about did set me back for like almost 10 years. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had a serious injury. If you've had a serious injury, and you guys know how it is, most of us BMXers are poor. We don't have health insurance, so going to the hospital is the worst shit in the world. Most of the time, to be honest with you, if I twist or break an ankle, I pretty much just let it heal on its own. It's worthless going to the doctor. I usually only go to the doctor if it's seriously bad. Like, I broke or bruised some ribs a few months ago, and I've broken ribs before. There's nothing you can do for it. So there's no use in going to the hospital. Separated my shoulder a few times. Waste of time. Usually the only time I'll go to the hospital is if I can't bear the pain. And now, what's funny about me with pain is I like to bitch and complain about my pain. So like, if I break a foot, it hurts, but it doesn't really hurt. But if I stub my fucking toe in the doorway, that shit hurts. If I get a paper cut, that shit hurts. I don't know what it is, but I guess maybe just call it stubborn. So, going back 12 years ago when I was 24, I had a pretty serious injury. And of course, just like I was talking now, I was super stubborn and stupid, and I ended up getting hurt. I didn't want to go to the hospital, and at the end of this ordeal, I ended up getting put into a coma. So I guess I don't know. Most people wouldn't laugh about this, but that's just what ended up happening with me. So the way I'm going to start this story is it's like really vague for me. So Back when I was 24, we went to the skate park and doing the same thing when you go to your skate park, your local park, you have the lines that you do all the time. It's the same shit, you know, you got the warm-up spots and you got the grind spots, and every once in a while, some new rider will show up, and what happens when a new rider shows up? You go higher and you go bigger and you do better things. And this day was no different than that any day, other than the fact that some new people showed up. So, when I was 24, I I think I was doing some pretty big tricks. Now, I know that nowadays standards, you know, like it's crazy to say this, but like a double backflip is normal for like people just see that. Flares are normal, flip whips, you know, just stuff like that is normal. But going back like 10 years ago, oh shit, this is 12. Sorry. Going back 12 years ago when I was almost 13, when I was 24, my big go-to trick usually at the skate park was a 720. And I could do them on the regular. I was really good at doing 720s. And so this day, show up to the skate park. There's some dudes there that are from out of town. So, you know, I got to put on my swag and I got to get badass. And so I'm out there just blasting. I'm going big as shit. And I remember just hitting a line, going as fast as I can. And I remember to end my line, there's like this 6-foot, like, step up bank thing, and then it kind of goes flat, and then there's like a backside, and I don't know, it's a good 8-foot gap maybe, so 6-foot quarter, and then it's just like a flat that's like 8 feet, and then it just like a 5-foot drop, like backside, like into this bowl kind of thing that's mellow. And I used to 540 that all the time, you know, fly out, land on the top, 540 half cab into that thing, and I could jump it like nothing. So I was super motivated. I got super psyched, and I just went fast as fuck, and I went to 720 this thing. And on the second rotation, this sounds crazy, I like semi over rotated it. And when you semi over rotate and you're spinning that fast, I just kept going, and I ended up just smashing really hard on my gut. And I remember, like, you know, usually when you eat shit, sometimes if it isn't as bad, you kind of do that, like, you know, like, oh, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. You know, when you're knocked out, you're not going to get up and be like, I'm good, I'm good. But this time I didn't really knock myself out. I just remember over-rotating the 720 and then just smashing my gut, like my whole front side, like bars turned, and then just smashed myself really hard on the cement. I remember bouncing right up, kind of shaking it off, getting on my bike, and something didn't feel right. Like I had a horrible gut ache. Like it almost felt like I had the shits. Like I felt like, you know, when you get like food poisoning and you get that like disgusting feeling in your belly. That's what I felt like. It was just a miserable feeling. And like I shook it off. Everybody went over and checked me out. And I was like, oh, I'm totally fine. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And so obviously I couldn't ride. And so I ended up just going to my house, sitting around, kind of complaining. And, you know, my mom was like, hey, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, I just ate shit at the skate park. I kind of got like a gut ache. I don't know what's wrong with me. And my mom's like, well, you better keep that shit serious. I don't want you going to the hospital like you always do. I'm not paying for that shit. Obviously, I'm 24 years old, Mom. I'm a grown-ass adult. You're not going to pay for anything. And this is where it kind of gets like blurry. I know I remember taking some ibuprofen. I went to bed. I woke up the next day. My gut was still feeling the same. So I woke up. I tried to go to the bathroom. I couldn't really go to the bathroom. Like, I felt like I had to go number 2, but I just couldn't go number 2. And my belly was just killing me. And so I laid around the house all day long. So that whole day, I woke up, tried to go to the bathroom, couldn't really go to the bathroom. I went a little bit. And then I just slept the whole day, and then I woke up the next day, and the next day my belly was just on fire. It was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like having just really bad cramps. It just felt like this, like I had two fists in my stomach, and it was just like pain, like I, you know, where you're like belted over. So I I don't remember who was with me. This is how vague and crazy this is. I don't remember who was with me. I just remember getting a ride, going up to the local Albertsons, which is a grocery store back in Great Falls, Montana. And I remember going to get some Pepto-Bismol. I just needed to do something to get my belly right. And so I went to the aisle. I got some Pepto-Bismol. I went up to go pay for it. And I just started downing the bottle. And then flash forward, I don't know how much time, I ended up in the hospital. So I went from being at the cashier, paying the cashier, getting a big ass bottle of Pepto-Bismol, downing as much as I can, and then all of a sudden I woke up in the hospital. Now, after figuring out what happened is, from my injury, I ended up passing out while I was drinking the Pepto-Bismol. They called the ambulance. The ambulance came and picked me up, and I was only like 3 blocks away from the hospital, and they took me to the hospital. I remember coming to, and when I came to, my mother was... Where was my mom? God, that's so weird. My mom wasn't even there. I don't even know why my mom's there. So I remember waking up, I'm in the hospital. Oh, call my mom. See how freaky this is? Because I don't know how to explain this, but when you get put in a coma, either way, hold on. So I remember the doctor coming to me and picking up, you know, like his board. Hey, Mr. Lopez, the ambulance brought you in here. We did some tests on you. We think we located what the problem is. Can you tell me what's going on? And then I said, I don't know. I passed out something. I woke up. I'm here in the hospital. And he's like, all right, well, I'm just going to check some things. Let me see something. He's like, lift your shirt. So I lifted my shirt. He pushed around up on top of my chest, and then he went down towards my belly, and right when he touched it, I was just like, oh, and then he's like, all right, I know what happened. And what ended up happening is I ended up blowing up my appendix. My appendix bursted inside of my guts. So the doctor was like, hey, look, we need to perform surgery, and we need to do it now. I also need to tell you that you need to try to go to the bathroom because we don't know how bad the damage is. So long story short, all I remember is the doctor looking at me and saying, hey, I'm going to give you something and you should be totally fine. Because I was fucking freaking out. Like, I was so afraid. I hate going to hospitals. It's just scary. I can't afford them. So it's just like, it's another thing when you can't afford something, so you don't want to be there. And I remember getting pulled in the fucking gurney thing or whatever, that bed. And I remember just looking at the doctor being like, hey, look, man, I'm really, really, really nervous. I'm real nervous. And he's like, hey, don't worry about it, man. I'm going to give you something. And then when we give you the medicine, we'll let you know. And the fucker tricked me. He gave me medicine and it knocked me out. And I didn't know that I was going to be put into an induced coma because they didn't know the effect of what ended up happening to me. And like I said, what all ended up happening to me is I had a bacterial infection inside of my stomach because I waited almost 70 hours after it happened inside me. So it instantly blew up and I had all of that nastiness inside of me. So I ended up getting a bacterial infection, and then the other bad part is I ended up rupturing my rectum. So the whole time that I thought I had to go to the bathroom was just because my guts were all messed up and my rectum was messed up. So they ended up having to do surgery. They put me in an induced coma for 2 days, and I came to, and I remember coming to, and my mom wasn't, when I came to, this is how fucking crazy it is. When you come out of, like, if you've had anesthesia and you know that you're going to go under and then you wake up, that's normal. I've done that one before. This one was scary because when I came to, I just remember opening my eyes, looking around, not remembering anything other than the fact that the doctor tricked me, telling me that everything's going to be fine and he's going to give me something to make me better. But I couldn't talk because I had a tube that was inside of my mouth. So I had this big ass tube. So first instinct was I just grabbed it and I ripped it out of my mouth. I just straight up just ripped it out of my mouth, kind of freaking out. And then I looked to the left and my mom's there, and my mom grabs my shoulder and she said, hey, everything's fine. Everything's all right. And then the nurse came in, the doctor came in. They explained to me that everything that happened, and I don't remember shit. All I know is once they explained to me that they had to put me in an induced coma because they had to clean out everything. And he gave me the news. He's like, hey, look, we had to fix your rectum. You had some problems there. So you're going to have to take sedatives manually, which were these 2 pills. And I had to put them inside of my ass every single day, which is the most humiliating and grossest thing ever. And then on top of that, I had a catheter. And the doctor was so nice to tell me that, hey, look, you're going to be on a catheter, and the only way that I'm going to allow you to leave the hospital is you got to be able to go to the bathroom on your own. And every time that you think you're going to go to the bathroom on your own, you have to reset and put your catheter in yourself. So, word to the wise, or anybody out there that hasn't had that happen, it is the worst pain in your whole life. There should never, ever be a tube that goes inside there. But let me also tell you this. Remember when the doctor told me earlier that if I needed to go to the bathroom, I should go to the bathroom? I will tell you that catheter inside of me was the most satisfying feeling in the world when it drained me. It sucked. So my mom said, hey, you're going to be in the hospital for a little bit. I'll be here to visit you. I just want to make sure you're fine. She gave me a Ride magazine, a Ride BMX magazine, which I wish still existed. Doesn't exist anymore. And I had a magazine to read, and I had a partner. So the guy next to me, he had the same procedure as me. And the two of us, it was this old 70-year-old dude, and the two of us had a competition to see who could go piss on their own the first time. Or on their own, because the first person that got to go piss got to leave. And I just remember every time that old bastard got up to go take a piss, I was like, I hope you break your hip, you old prick, because I'm getting out of here before you. Oh, that time was so great. So, to get to the title of this, I don't have health insurance, and I couldn't pay my bill. My bill was $100,000 for the medical procedure, for all the medicine, and then the stay in the hospital. Totaled $100,000. That happened when I was 24, and then I had the hardest time. I tried to pay it off and on, but my bills became delinquent. I ended up getting audited and taken to court. I couldn't pay those. So what ends up happening when you can't pay those bills is a debt collector will pick up those bills and buy it from someone else and then apply their fees to it, and the bills just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So by the year 2014 comes around, my bill from $100,000 is up to $150,000. And at that time, I just decided, having all of this weighing over the top of my head, I was like, I'm going to file bankruptcy. I just can't do it. Now, most people that file bankruptcy, it's because they do something stupid and they buy all these cars and these lavish things, and get a house, and something happens, or, you know, drugs, or they're drinkers, or they get a divorce. Me, I just ended up over-rotating a 720 and putting myself $150,000 in debt. I will tell you, the good news of this is filing bankruptcy isn't as bad as what people think. You go and talk to a lawyer, you pay a few $100s, they come to your house, they evaluate everything you own. And the funny part is when the lawyer came to my house, so he could see everything I owned. So when you go to see the judge, he figures out what you get to keep and what you have to give away back to the system, because you're filing bankruptcy. So I remember him coming to my house, and all I had was shoes and clothes, and I had one TV. I had 200 DVDs, which I've showed you guys before, and then I had my bike. And it was a BMX bike. And I just remember the lawyer being like, you're probably going to lose that bike. And short story, you know, cut it short, I ended up going to court. Everything was fine. They ended up dropping it. I had to pay a couple $1,000s, and now I'm debt free. I no longer owe $150,000 anymore. It's a lot of weight off my shoulder. And also, God, that wreck sucked. Going to the hospital sucked. I don't even know if this story like made that much sense, because like I've told you guys before, everything I'm doing right now is just off the top of my head. There's no planning. I'm not writing anything down. I'm just trying to have a conversation with you and me. That's it. I'm just trying to give you guys a little piece of my life. And, you know, injuries can be bad. I know that a lot of people kind of get depressed, or they get sad, or they're like, fuck, man, I want to ride so bad, and now I'm hurt and I can't. You just have to remember that, like, every injury that you get is different than the other ones. Don't overdo it. Don't go out and start riding when you're not healed yet. Just give your whole body time to heal. And the older I've gotten, the more I've realized, like, I've accepted the fact, knowing that, all right, once a year you're going to get a pretty bad wreck. Once a year you're usually going to twist your ankle, tear an elbow up, you're going to get scratches, you're going to wreck on your face, you might get stitches. That's just normal. That's what we deal with. We all deal with it in BMX. It's great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story. I hope you guys enjoy what I'm trying to do on here on YouTube. I know it's nothing like anybody else's, but that's the whole point. The whole point is doing something different. I don't want to be categorized as being like somebody else, because, let's be honest, I just want to be myself. I don't want to grab the phone and be like, oh, look, dude, I'm over here at the skate park, bro. And I come up with some stupid-ass saying, and I have some dumbass, you know, voice. I don't need that. I'm going to be myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story. If you guys can relate to any of this, or you guys have had injuries, I'd love to hear about them. Write them in the comments. Also, thanks to everybody that shares all my videos and sends them out on Instagram, on Facebook. I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. So remember to like, comment, share. What's the other thing? Oh, notification bell. Ring that thing. You'll know about me. And then if you don't like this shit, just remember my name's Austin Augie. Go ahead and dislike the fuck out of it. I don't care. Either way, guys, have a great day and marijuana.